It is indeed talk. Lots to get through. Let's get a word from different parts of the political spectrum. Joining us now, Sebastian Salek, Labour councillor, and James Price, former special advisor to Number 10 when the Tories were back in power, if you can remember those heady days. James can. Listen, James, firstly, let's just get a word from you. Your overview, if you like, from what you've heard from Rachel Reeves for the last hour or so.
Well, I can't give you a fully honest overview because we're a family programme, but I do think that an awful lot of what came out of the Chancellor's mouth smelled distinctly like the floor of the cowshed. I mean, I can see why people despise politicians with some of the weasel words and some of the language that came out from the Chancellor. This idea that the Conservatives are in some way evil because they didn't want this two-child benefit cap, for example, to be lifted. This is the idea now that all the people who work hard who watch this programme are to be taxed extra money now for as many children as those who can't afford to pay for them have. And it's somehow supposed to be moral and kind to take money away from hardworking people to give it to those who don't plan those sorts of families. Of course, there can be exceptions on these things, but it's a small part of a wider problem, which is that the Labour Party takes money away from those who work hard and generate it, giving it to other areas that are either shouldn't be having it or are economically unproductive to keep them afloat, to buy continuing votes, which is what Rachel Reeves did all the way through, and they dress it up as kindness.
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian, that is fair, isn't it? I mean, I know you will have a different assessment of the budget, but it's the classic sort of Labour left-wing card to play, that our decisions are not different, they're morally different.
Look, I'm not going to get into morals. I'm quite shocked, James, by your lack of compassion on this one. These are people who, look, we buy into the spectre that there are poor people pumping out babies to their heart's desire and expecting the state to pay for it. These are often people who a parent has fallen ill, a parent has died, they fall into destitution, and we owe it to ourselves as Britain, as a country, to help those people out when they need it. So I think it was the right...
Do you think that is a typical case of where this benefit will fall? Someone who's on hard times?
I don't think there's any typical case, but the reality is the benefit system is there for people who fall on hard times. Now, look, people shouldn't be taking the mickey. People shouldn't be taking benefits if they don't need them, and that's why we see face-to-face assessments coming back. And I think that's really important. You've got to make sure the system is robust, but you've also got to make sure that people who need the help can get it. It's what we owe them.
What did you make, Sebastian, in terms of the kind of overarching feel of what happened here? I mean, just putting aside the fact that we were actually given the budget half an hour before Rachel Reeves even said anything. I mean, that's a little bit of a blooper, I think we can say, but perhaps not her fault, I get it. And we'd had all the teasing up to the moment. Overall, did it tick all of the boxes you, as a Labour man, wanted it to tick?
Do you know what, Ian? I'm pleasantly surprised. I think in the last few weeks, we'd all been dreading what we might have heard today. And just looking at the cold numbers of it, there's a lot to be pleased about. We've got a lot of positive assessments from the OBR, borrowing falling as a net share of GDP, net financial debt lower at the end of the next forecast. You've got growth upgraded. You've got inflation on track to be within the 2% target in 2 years' time. This is where we need to be as a country. This is part of the process of economically rewiring the state, and frankly, much better than it was looking like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, James, do you recognise that? Is it looking better now? You've got a nice warm feeling in the pit of your belly, having heard Rachel Reeves speak?
Quite the opposite, and I've known Seb a long time, and he's much smarter than to know that this is a good budget in any way, shape or form. Unfortunately, it looks like she has tried to fill numbers to fit the OBR's rules rather than to fit the overall health of the economy. What we will see as a result of this is still huge amounts more borrowing, and we're living way beyond our means. We'll see more people who actually produce things and are constructive towards the economy fleeing this country, so the taxes go up on the rest of us. We'll see investment dry up. We'll see more people look at Britain as a basket case. We can't even wait until someone has sat down before a PDF gets released online. We're supposed to be able to build the technologies and industries of the future. No, I think it's a shambles. I think Rachel Reeves has put maybe another nail into the coffin of Britain if we're not careful. And that may sound a little bit much, but we've got another, 3 budgets perhaps from this Labour government coming along. Do we seriously think that they understand anything about how economics works? More people will look at this and flee in their droves. And that's why I'm so downcast about all of this. And this idea, by the way, we owe it to people to give more money. But we already have an unbelievably generous and progressive system whereby the top 1% of people pay 28%, I think it is, of all income taxes. The top 4% or 5% pay 50% of all of it, and that money is redistributed to people. So take that two-child benefit cap. We already have the richest people pay for people who can't look after their own children, up to 2 children. And lots of people like me who are trying to start a family will not be able to have as many children as we want to have because we would think it would be fiscally irresponsible to do it. So yet again, I'm going to say this was a budget for Labour members like Seb and for people who want to take the hard-won gains of those who are in the productive parts of the economy.
Yeah, and I mean, on that point, Sebastian, nobody's going to cry for someone who's got a £10 million Mayfair house. I mean, I think we all understand that. There might be people who dip into that new council tax threshold because they bought a house in 1952 for about 38 quid that now happens to be worth quite a lot of money. And of course, it depends on your definition of things like council tax. Is it there based on the size of your house or based on the services you use? And if it's the latter, then why should somebody who happens to have a bigger house that's artificially inflated in price be paying thousands of pounds more? It's those kind of narratives that sort of feed into the fact that this is socialism that's alive and well and back again.
I mean, you can call it what you want. I just think it's fairness. I mean, I don't quite know how.
Why is it fair? I know I appreciate that is a sort of go-to Labour line. It's fair because he's got a house that's worth 100 grand and he's got one that's worth 2 million, so therefore he should pay more. I mean, we don't apply that to other products. We don't say your Ford Fiesta is going to cost you 10 grand more in Mayfair than it does in Middlesbrough.
Well, you can move a Ford Fiesta, you can't move a house. Look, I'm the son of immigrants. I'm a big believer in aspiration. I want people to shoot for the moon, make a load of money, and then pay their fair share in taxes as well. But look at where we are economically. We're in a really tight spot. Somebody's going to have to pay a little bit more to help out. And if you ask me, should it be the poor or should it be the rich? I'll tell you it's going to be the rich any day.
But as James said, the rich are already demonstrably paying more in and arguably taking less out. If you want to look at areas like healthcare and private education, you could make that argument too.
You're completely right, but the position is dire. We've been in these terrible situation since 2008. The Tories had 14 years to sort it out. They only made it worse, I'm afraid to say. And what that means is that the rich, who are already contributing a lot, are going to have to contribute more. One of the ways of doing that is by asking them to pay a little bit more in what is effectively council tax. If you live in
if we're only asking them, then that's fine.
James.
This is the language at Rachel Review. So we're going to ask people to pay a little bit more. That's right then. Presumably.
Okay, we can pick up on semantics. Forcing them. I don't really care as long as they pay.
Right, forcing. Now we're getting to it, right? Forcing, exactly right. And what's going to happen?
That's what tax is. It's the law, isn't it?
Yeah, some will pay some more, but if you force them to keep doing this, what will happen is the trend we've already seen, which is that Britain is losing more rich people than any other country in the world. And that means you won't get any of their tax money. You won't get any of their innovations.
You're talking rubbish now, mate.
We're already seeing it. People can go to the
Labour government
website.
Sebastian, I'll come back to you, Sebastian. James, finish this point.
It's not rubbish at all. You can go to the Adam Smith Institute website, see the paper on this. We're losing more millionaires than any other country in the world. They're all going to places like Dubai or even to Italy or wherever else, and those people will benefit from the money and all the rest of it. If you tax people too much, as you're saying, they will start to leave and the burden will get even greater on the rest of us and the doom cycle will repeat, and whoever is Chancellor next year, because I doubt it's Rachel Reeves, will come back and take even more money because they still won't learn their lessons.
Sebastian.
It's not often I get to call Project Fear, but I'm going to do it this time. When the Labour government brought in the scrapping of non-doms, they thought a lot of them were going to leave the country. They had planned for that financially. Far fewer left. And do you know why? Because it's a really good place to live. People don't just live here for the tax benefits. They live here because Britain is a brilliant country. Whether you're in London or elsewhere, it is a really lovely place to raise a family. I've got friends from all over the world who are coming here to live because they'd rather live here than in their home countries. And they're from really pretty rich places in East Asia as well, where you could have a pretty good life. So let's not talk ourselves down as a country. We are a brilliant nation, and there are so many numbers don't lie beyond an attractive tax regime.
Well, how do
your anecdotes don't get around the way of the data. It's also becoming a less safe country for people. It's also becoming a less, if we want to use the word, fair place. And after this budget, fewer people will be coming into this country, more will be leaving, and the rest of us will be poorer as a result. I mean, that's the Labour budget.
Sebastian, you talked about being sort of tacitly positive about this budget. I think you said it quite surprised you in that respect. But if you look at the OBR, that information that we got before Rachel Reeves told us, the increases for economic growth are not good. I mean, yes, it goes up a tiny notch for this year. We haven't got much of that left, but downgrading its forecast for the next 4 years. Half a decade of downgraded growth.
Well, they're still at about 1.5%, and you have to compare them to similar countries. So if you look at the rest of the G7, this growth forecast is ahead of those. You have to take these things relatively. Look, I wish that Britain, all other countries similar to us, were surging ahead. The reality is we're just not. We've been through COVID. We have been through Brexit as a country. We've had the 2008 crisis. I'll mention it again because it affected us all so awfully. You have to take all of this into context. But the point is we're going in the right direction. I think we can take a lot of heartening reassurance from that.
Do you think moving 920,000 people into paying more tax is the right direction?
Well, if it's what it takes to balance the books, then it is the right direction.
That's a tax rise. That's a manifesto pledge broken, right?
Look, I mean, you can argue over the semantics.
It's not really semantics. That is a reality,
well,
isn't it?
It is semantics.
Well, it's not semantics. There's nearly 1 million people going to pay more tax. That's a tax rise.
Yeah, I mean, look, as the Tories did, they froze the brackets as well from 2021 to.
Well, it's not the principle of freezing the brackets. It's the principle of saying you won't raise taxes and then raising taxes.
But what I'm saying is it doesn't really matter. Look, who cares?
Well, it does if you're one of the 920,000 people that's going to pay more tax. 780,000 on the basic rate are going to increase. I mean, this is a bonanza of tax rises.
But remember, Ian, the minimum wage is also coming up. So those at the lower end of the earnings scale are getting supported. We're in the position where everybody is going to have to help out. It's just the way that we are as a country. We pull together in difficult times like this. It's not positive because we end up paying more tax. No one wants to do that. But it means you can balance the books, as we have done, and get a lot of fiscal room as well, which I was really pleasantly surprised by. If you ask about surprises, I didn't expect her to have that much to play with, which is a good thing.
I mean, who doesn't like a bit of fiscal room, James Price? What do you make of those non-tax rises then?
Well, the difference between previously the country having to come together was because of an external shock like COVID. Now it's all entirely self-inflicted wounds that are people coming to be forced together to be paying more tax. Look, we went through 14 years of the Labour Party attacking the Tories for austerity. And frankly, there wasn't actually a huge amount of austerity because spending kept increasing massively beyond our means. It just increased by a slower rate than it did under Labour. But what we can see from tax rises, a tax rise is a form of austerity. It means that people will be left with less money in their pocket at the end of the day. When you look at the poorest people in society, they pay the highest proportion of their income in taxes once you include all the indirect taxes and everything else. And we're already at the highest level of taxes since the Second World War. It's not working. Trying to get any kind of spending reductions was thrown out the window a few months ago when Labour tried an absolutely minuscule spending restraint. Their backbenchers rebelled on it, and some of them said, I don't understand. It's only a few billion quid. What's the problem? Which shows the Labour Party's weaknesses in a nutshell. And this was a budget for Labour backbenchers to not throw Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer out, and the rest of us are picking up the tab for it.
Final points here, guys. You alluded to it, James, earlier. Rachel Reeves, will she be in that position in a year's time? Because if she's not, then that suggests neither will Keir Starmer be.
No, well, look, I've been very, very aggressive and very anti-Rachel Reeves because I'm just sick of having to listen to her for the past hour spew these nonsense numbers. But and she did, of course, fib about her CV and about her private sector experience and all the rest of it. Said she'd never come back for more tax rises after the last budget, but she's doing it again. And yet she is possibly the best they've got, which would absolutely terrify people. I don't know if it's better if she goes or if someone else comes to replace her.
Sebastian, 12 months from now, who's the Chancellor?
I really hope it's Rachel Reeves. And for this reason, and I've probably said it to you before because I believe it so much, even if you hate Labour, even if you hate Rachel Reeves, the one thing we need right now, stability. We need one project to play out because we're so good at kicking out our chancellors, we're so good at kicking out our prime ministers. We need somebody to come and to deliver what they say they will do.
Sebastian Salek, thank you very much indeed. Labour councillor James Price, former special advisor to number 10.